Once, there was a reclusive billionaire named Victor Caldwell, owner of the opulent Avalon Grand Hotel, a landmark known for its unmatched luxury and service. Victor had spent decades building his empire, but as his business grew, so did his distance from the everyday operations. One day, rumors reached him that his prize hotel, which he had built from the ground up, was no longer a haven of hospitality. Employees whispered about mistreatment, negligence, and favoritism. Victor decided to take matters into his own hands. Instead of calling a board meeting, he devised an unconventional plan. He would go undercover as a janitor to see firsthand what was happening in his hotel. Victor transformed himself. He traded his tailored suits for a simple blue uniform, donned a cap, and added thick glasses. A bit of gray hair dye and a fake backstory of being a retired maintenance worker completed the ruse. On a quiet Monday morning, Victor the janitor reported for duty. Victor spent days cleaning hallways, scrubbing floors and emptying trash bins. But he wasn't just cleaning, he was observing. He noticed things that shocked him. Douglas, the hotel manager, had a commanding presence but ruled through fear. Employees flinched when he entered a room. Victor saw Douglas berating a young receptionist for failing to upsell a suite. The manager's words were cutting, his tone dismissive, and the receptionist's self-esteem visibly crumbled. The housekeeping team worked tirelessly, often skipping breaks to meet unrealistic deadlines. Victor befriended Maria, a housekeeper who'd been with the hotel for over a decade. Maria confided that despite her loyalty and hard work, she hadn't received a raise in 5 years. "We're just numbers to them," she said, tears welling in her eyes. Guests ignored Victor, also noticed the indifference towards guests. Complaints about room service delays or maintenance issues were often met with excuses. The concierge, a position meant to embody the hotel's charm, was more interested in checking his phone than assisting guests. One evening, Victor witnessed a scene that solidified his decision to act. A young waiter named Ethan accidentally spilled wine on a high-profile guest's jacket. The guest, though upset, was understanding. But Douglas wasn't. He stormed into the dining hall and publicly humiliated Ethan. "Do you know who that guest is? Do you have any idea what you've cost us?" Douglas shouted. Ethan's face turned red, and he whispered an apology, but it wasn't enough. Douglas ended his tirade by saying, "Maybe this isn't the job for you." That night, Victor sat in the janitor's closet and wrote a plan. It was time for a reckoning. A week later, Victor called an all-staff meeting in the grand ballroom. Confusion rippled through the crowd when the janitor took the stage. As murmurs spread, Victor removed his cap, glasses, and the dye from his hair. Gasps echoed as everyone recognized the face of the man whose portrait hung in the hotel's lobby. Victor addressed the stunned audience. "For the past 2 weeks, I have walked these halls as one of you. I've seen the hard work many of you put in. I've also seen the disrespect, the negligence, and the lack of empathy that have turned this hotel from a beacon of excellence into a shadow of its former self. This is not what I built. This is not who we are." The room was silent. Some employees looked ashamed. Others appeared relieved, as if someone had finally acknowledged their struggles. Victor's next words shocked them further. "Effective immediately, I am terminating everyone, including myself. This isn't a punishment, but a chance to start fresh. I will offer generous severance packages to all employees and provide resources to help you transition. But this hotel needs a reset, and it starts with leadership." Some staff members protested, but Victor held firm. "I am responsible for what this place has become because I allowed it to happen. This is my way of making it right." Victor closed the Avalon Grand for 6 months. During this time, he recruited a new team, focusing on people who shared his vision of hospitality as a blend of luxury and kindness. He brought back some former employees like Maria and Ethan, who embodied dedication and heart. Victor also implemented programs to ensure fairness, such as regular performance reviews, opportunities for advancement, and mental health support for staff. When the hotel reopened, it wasn't just a physical transformation, it was a cultural one. Guests noticed the change immediately. Employees were happier, more engaged, and genuinely cared about creating memorable experiences. Victor's bold decision became a legend in the business world. The story of the billionaire janitor who swept the floors of his own empire was retold as a lesson in humility, leadership, and the power of starting over. The Avalon Grand became more than a luxury destination. It became a symbol of integrity and renewal. Victor often reflected on his journey, not with regret for what had been lost, but with gratitude for what had been rebuilt. And as he walked the halls of his hotel, this time in his tailored suit, he would occasionally pick up a broom, just to remind himself of where true leadership begins. True leadership begins with humility, grows with empathy, and thrives on the courage to change. A leader who listens learns, and a leader who serves inspires. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Matthew 23:11-12.